In this video, we are going to talk about the 3 SQL functions, which are sum, minimum, and maximum. So first of all, let's talk about sum. This is the function that returns the total sum of a numeric column. So the column that you are applying this function must be a numeric column, otherwise it's not going to work. And just to have a look at the blueprint of how to use sum, here we have, for example, select statement, and when we want to apply some function, we'll write it after the select statement, and inside of the curly brackets we will write the name of the column that we want to sum up, and after that we'll write the table that we want to retrieve the information from, and we can also write some additional conditions using where clause. For example, this one is very simple clause that we have here, and it actually sums up the quantity of the order details, so that's very basic. And we'll go to the live SQL and practice more with the HR database with employees table. I'll write a couple of queries to illustrate you how it works in practice. First of all, I'll select the entire table and show you what I have in my table. This is the HR database, sample database provided by Oracle, and employees table that I'm going to use to practice these functions. Inside of my employees table, I have these columns: salary, job ID, the name of the employees, and employee IDs. So, for example, we want to use sum function to sum the salaries. This is the numeric column. So if we want to get the total amount of the salaries paid out to the employees, I can write select statement, and now I'll write sum and open up the curly braces and write the column name, which is salary, and I'll say that that's going to be from HR database employees table. I'll just comment out this one so that I'm going to run only one query at a time. So the total sum is more than 500,000. Now I want to give another example. We can have some function in almost any query. So, for example, if we want to have a more complex query, and for example, I want to use group by statement, and I want to group by, for example, employee ID. In this case, I still can use sum function, and I'll, for example, just select employee ID, employee ID, and after that, since I want to sum the salaries, I'll write sum function. Inside of the curly braces, I'll write the column name, which is salary, and specify from which table I'm getting the information from. And since I wanted to group it, the query result, I'll use the group by keyword, and I'll group by the employee IDs. Let's see what we'll get. And now in our result query we have the employee ID next and the sum of the salary next to the employee ID. So whenever you want to get some total amount of a numeric column, you can use aggregate function sum. Now we'll talk about the minimum and maximum functions. These two functions return the smallest and the largest value of a certain selected column. For example, when we want to get the minimum price, we can write in our select statement and write the minimum function and open up the curly braces, and inside of them write down the name of the numeric column that we want to apply the function to, and after that specify from which table we want to retrieve the information from. And the same thing applies to the maximum. We'll practice a couple of queries here in live SQL. And for example, I want to display the minimum salary in employees table. In order to do that, I will select the minimum salary. To do that, I'll write min and open up the curly braces, and I'll write salary, which is the numeric column, and I'll just specify from which table I want to get. And the minimum salary here is 2,100. The same thing I can do with the maximum, so I'll copy and paste here, and instead of min I'll just write max. So the same thing here, you write down max, open the curly braces and write the column name and close the curly braces. This is the basic syntax to use the minimum and maximum aggregate functions. So minimum salary is 2,100 and the maximum salary is $24,000. I will comment out these two queries, and let's write, for example, a little bit more complex queries. Say that I want to display all information of the employees who have the minimum salary in this employee table. So to do that, I will write select statement, and I'll just get entire information, entire table, and from HR employees, and since I want to give certain conditions, in this case I will use the where clause. And in where clause I will specify the salary amount. So I'll write salary, and I want only those people who have the minimum salary in the employees table. So in order to do that, I will open up the curly braces and write select statement, and here I'll specify minimum salary, and I must say from which table I want to get, so it's the same table, HR employees, and I'll close the curly braces, and after I run it should give me only those people who have the minimum salary in this table. And there is only one person who's getting the minimum salary of 2,100. And if there were, for example, say a couple of more people here who receive, for example, the same amount, in that case I would get some more rows. But since there is only one person who is getting 2,100, I received only one row. And very often in the interviews, people ask how we can get the second minimum salary from the table. And this is a great function to solve that problem. So I'll show you how to do that. We'll write select statement, and I'll write minimum. So since I want to apply to salary, I'll write salary, and from HR employees, and I'll write where statement, and it's going to be just salary more than the. So the main difference is going to be here that the sign is going to be more. I want the salaries to be more, so it should be the second minimum salary from the employees table. So I'll write again select statement, and I'll write minimum. We are comparing the salary, so I'll just write salary and from HR employees. So the second minimum salary is 2,200.